Okay, yeah, this is this was definitely a good idea. Just look at how much war is going on over here. Like, there is so many occupations in India. I live for this. What if it was illegal for any nation in the world to ally any other nation? That means no England and Portugal, and as a matter of fact, no England and anyone, because the AI is not allowed to make friends. This is obviously going to heavily impact the politics of the world and is no doubt going to affect the war of the world as well. Nations like Poland, who get personal unions, or Austria, definitely going to be in a very good spot because they get friends for free, while nations like the North African Berbers are probably going to get rolled because they cannot team up against, the yellow flood that is going to come from Castile. It's a pretty interesting thought, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what happens. If you want to check out this mod, it's going to be linked in the description. If you enjoy the video, like it and subscribe to the channel for more. But I'm sure you guys know that there's only one way to figure out what's going to happen. That's to turn it on up to speed 5 and unpause. Within a couple of months, the 100 Years' War has kicked off, and England very much is going to lose. There's no chance that they're going to even keep any of the land. They're probably going to even lose Calais, if I had to guess. And while we're talking about wars within the first year, how about Denmark getting declared on by Sweden with their friends of Austria, Burgundy, and England? England obviously tied up over here in France, but yeah, Denmark not going to make it out on top. Sweden is 100% going to gain their independence. If they do remain friends afterwards, I'm going to break them. I made a little script that breaks all alliances in the world. I think that is like kind of the one thing that the mod does not change. Also, all nations that have alliances in 1444 start with them, but I broke them as well. Equal opportunity for carnage. Everybody gets a chance to get dominated in war. Everybody. Ooh, Pope Man choosing violence, attacking Provence for the papal conquest of Fulcalquia, or however that is pronounced. And it looks like they're going to win, which is pretty funny. And we've got a war going on over in the Balkans. Looks like the Hungarians decided that Bosnia was Hungarian clay. That's, yeah, that's definitely something. Meanwhile, the Turkic boys over here getting claims on everything. And it looks like they are going to be splitting Dulkadir, who is at war with everyone. They have no friends, of course. Big nations like the Ottomans probably gonna have a pretty good go at it, if I had to guess. Hey, yo, we've even got French boys landing on England. Oh my gosh, how the mighty have fallen. Yeah, looks like they snuck over because the Royal Navy is going to lay waste to the French Navy. These guys are going to be stranded over here. So these guys are probably going to get bopped if I had to guess, but still pretty crazy to see. Yeah, honestly, I feel like we're just seeing a whole lot of wars that you normally would not see. Bohemia is just bigger than Brandenburg, and Brandenburg does not have any friends, so we're seeing some consolidation. Bohemia almost certainly going to take Sternberg, and probably more, if I had to guess. Seeing a bit of consolidation over in Southeast Asia with Ayutthaya, and a little bit over in India, because Mewar never changes. And honestly, we've just got war going on all over the place with Arabia, just very much lots of red and green going on in Arabia. Big fan of the carnage. Big fan. I'm hoping to see some pretty gnarly border changes in the coming decades. Okay, yeah, this was definitely a good idea. Just look at how much war is going on over here. Like, there is so many occupations in India. I live for this. Well, the fall of the Timurids is upon us. Looks like they had an ill-fated war in Delhi, and their subjects decided that they took that personally. And meanwhile, over in China, Ming is also not feeling so good. They're dead. The fall of two great empires simultaneously. That's crazy, man. Also, just a quick aside, I gotta mention how much I love the fact that Dai Viet blobs into southern China very often. Like, I feel like it happens half of the videos I do. And I'm a fan of that. It's not culture groups, so I don't really know what causes it, but yeah, they do it, and I like it. Good borders. Meanwhile, the once per campaign attack by Burgundy into Liège to absolutely get ganked by the Emperor is underway. Numbers are actually looking pretty bad for Austria somehow. I don't know how they're doing it. They outnumber them well over 2-1, but they're getting beat up on, and Vienna is getting sieged down. So maybe we will actually see the conquest of Liège working out for Burgundy AI, if you can believe it. And yeah, Brandenburg, one province minor. Bohemia took a bunch, released some nations over here, and Saxony actually took some land over here as well. Also funny and worth mentioning, Frankfurt conquered Nassau, and then Mainz just annexed them, so that's good. England making their way over into Ireland, and France and Castile making their way into Aragon. Also, shout out Portugal, full annexing Granada. Always a big fan of funny things like that. Safe to say the Iberian borders are going to be interesting. Of course, you would have seen that Hungary is in the war because Austria has PU'd them. Meanwhile, the Venetian Balkans is a thing. So gonna have to keep an eye on that. We do have some pretty solid blocks of power with the Ottomans and the Mams. and then Poland, Lithuania, and then Austria, Hungary. So lots of big guys over here. And then Genoa just annexed most of Crimea, which I also am a big fan of that. So you're definitely seeing some pretty cool stuff. I'm seeing a whole lot more things happening than I really expected to. And I'm here for it. I'm a big fan. Oh, and shout out Kabu. Very nice color. Probably my favorite color in the game. Well, France definitely beat up on Aragon. They actually released Catalonia or somebody like that, and then France annexed them. Portugal is down here getting beat up on by rebels, while Venice is beating up on the rest of people. And the Pope has been mostly annexed, except for Ancona, by Naples. So there you go. Genoa swept in and took over Sardinia. So Aragon really is in dire straits at this point. Meanwhile, the Otto Blob is auto-blobbing, pushing into the Levant and, well, into Mesopotamia, with Ajam pushing up past the Caucasus, of all people. Timmy annexed some of their subjects, and then some of their subjects annexed them. They don't even have their old capital. So yeah, they're not looking so good. Meanwhile, Muscovy is... They're doing just fine. They're doing just fine. I think we're going to see a Russia, if I had to guess. Almost as interesting as Mega Sweden annexing all of Norway, including Iceland, and even pushing over into like the Faroe. I think this is the Faroe Islands. And then they're also annexing Copenhagen and parts of Denmark, with Denmark exclusively in Jutland and Schleswig. So yeah, Sweden probably going to form Scandinavia and be a big spooky guy. Though I'm always just a big fan of just the small guys doing really well, like Goslar, who's a one province minor free city, is has one of the largest names in Germany. And in general, it's just safe to say that the empire is weak because Austria cannot make friends. Meaning when they get co-belligerented, when say France or Poland attacks them, they don't call in anybody else except for themselves and Hungary. So then they get bonked. So yeah, Empire definitely weaker in this mod. Apparently weaker also England, with France taking London as well as the entire southern portions of the island. England is going to get exiled to Ireland, and that would be very, very funny. We've got some Indian blobs sorting out sort of a power base over here. Mewar seems to be the big dog, if I had to guess, but it's still too early to say. Mogulistan probably going to end up forming Chagatai, and then China is disgusting. Wu seems to be the major guy over here, but we'll see who comes out on top of that stuff. Japan, pretty messy, but Ashikaga still on top for now, while Korea, perfect 1444 borders. Colonization has also begun. Castile got the Canaries, and Portugal has made one province over here in Brazil. And that's it. A little slow. And it's been about 20 years, and it seems that not having friends has definitely come to bite the Ottomans in the bum. Seems that the Austrians have pushed in, as have the Mamluks. We've got a couple of boys popping out here. Venice picking at the bones with Moria and Achia, or however that is pronounced, pushing over here into Moria. Venice has also taken Rome from Naples, as well as like Lucania or whatever this area is down here. Not really sure what that's about. Meanwhile, Sweden is beating up on Muscovy, who I thought was quite powerful, but it appears that they are getting ganged up on. Also, Poland and Lithuania are not friends. I saw Poland going to war with Lithuania, and it seems that they took some land down here. Somehow England took back England from France, and Catalonia is independent, as well as Auvergne. So it seems that France had a bad war or two by the looks of it as well. Though down in the south, Castile seems to be dominating the Maghreb. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And Goslar is just gone. They don't even exist anymore. Bremen is the big guy up here, I suppose, with France and Sweden, both in northern Germany. Worth mentioning that the Reformation has begun, and the Lion of the North is leading the charge. And it does look like Bamanis is losing over here, so I assume we're going to see Vijay, Mewar, and Orissa, the major guys in India, though Timmy still hanging on. We'll see how they do. Chagatai is united, like I mentioned. Japan is united between Ashikaga and Hosokawa, though Date up here in the north still doing their thing, and Jiangsu may look to unite Manchuria just yet. Southern Africa is just Kilwa, Congo, and Songhai. My goodness, that Songhai is spooky. Though Castile is here, and then Portugal is over here in Brazil, but it is very slow going. It's like 1520, and we've barely got any colonization going on. Probably because they're doing, spending a lot of their energy over here in North Africa. And with the Age of Reformation here, we have Castile, the #1 great power, with France, the #2 great power, though they will obviously take #1 as soon as they embrace that institution. They seem to be lagging quite a bit on colonization. The Mams over here in third spot, with Austria behind them. The Ottomans falling all the way to the 5th great power. Venice probably going to pass Otto, if I had to guess, because Italian development is crazy, followed by Portugal. And then Muscovy, the sick man of Europe, who has only embraced one institution, feudalism. He doesn't even have Renaissance yet, and it's 1520. So yeah, looking pretty bad, but we'll see how things go here in like another 50-60 years. Well, it is looking incredibly blobby. Great Britain has formed the Dutch have arrived in the Netherlands as well as Scandinavia, because reasons, I guess. Interesting to see Lubeck in Scandinavia. Gotland is independent, and Finland owns Stockholm. Very nice. We also got some Sapmi representation as well as Karelia. Novgorod is here, and Muscovy is just gone. They don't even exist anymore. Mega Poland has pushed Lithuania into Russia exclusively, and Austria has integrated Hungary as well as a lot of the Ottoman lands. And of course, Venice formed Italy, which is really cool to see actually, and Byzantium is present here in Moria, which is that's pretty nice. Don't worry, the Ottomans do still exist, as does Trebizond and Eretna, apparently. And while we're on the topic of cool formables, how about Persia, right next to Rajputana, one of the cooler colored nations in the game, as well as one of the just cooler nations in general. Very interesting national ideas. Wayrock got big, but it looks like they messed with the wrong Rajputana, and they're getting punched in the teeth, and Jeonju did not form Manchu. Somebody else did, and they're up here. Meanwhile, Korea, hanging out with perfect borders, and Japan seemingly hasn't changed anything since the last time we checked in like 60 years ago. Ayutthaya decided to eat Dai Viet, which is pretty interesting. They are very big, but how about Pegu with Pegu Indochina? I don't know how they got land over here, but they did. Africa looks pretty similar. The Mams have definitely gotten stronger. Songhai has lost maybe a province or two. Congo doing very strong, and Kilwa has eaten Madagascar. Portugal is in the Cape, with Spain, who has formed, of course, is over here. They were here last time we looked as well. They're also in Peru, apparently. I don't know how they did this, but Inca is arrived, and they are over here in Peru, as well as La Plata. Portugal continues in Brazil. They also have the entire Caribbean. And how about Aztlan over here? That looks like some Winds of Change stuff. I don't think I've ever seen the AI do it, but they've definitely done it. And then Portugal's over here, probably going to end up taking it to them eventually. Up in the north, we've got Nova Hollandia, and then we've got Newfoundland for the British. So we've got a decent spread of colonization. We also have Dutch Guiana. So yeah, maybe we'll see some interesting colonial borders. That'd be pretty cool. Also, shout out the Pirate Republic of Rugen. Always a fan of that. And it does look like the Catholics won the League War with Emperor Jose de Avis, because Portugal is the emperor, I guess, and Austria is an elector. So yeah, this is a very weird game. The Reformation kind of petered out, though it's looking good up here in northern Germany. Reformed is pretty good over here, and whatever, like Switzerland down here. But yeah, that's basically it. Mostly just Catholic. And then of course the Church of England has formed. They are pushing a little bit over here with Reformed over here. South America colonizers are all Catholic outside of Guyana. But it looks like everyone who owns land in India is Hindu, which is really cool, as is Buddhism over here in Southeast Asia. Also pretty interesting to see Tengrists converting all the Buddhists up here. I feel like that's uncommon. They've definitely done it. And as we enter into absolutism, Austria is the #1 great power, followed by Italy. Very cool to see formables like that in the top 8. Spain, the #3 spot, with Poland right behind them with over 1,000. Great Britain with under 1,000, followed by the Mamluks, who will surpass them and Poland, as well as Spain even, once they embrace the institution. Portugal down in the 7th spot with a little over 600 development. And then Persia, once they embrace institution, will slide up to 5th or 6th. So yeah, interesting spread. Definitely a big fan of that. Love to see Rajputana put in some work and grow. I definitely want that. Revolutions is upon us, as is some very interesting expansions going on here. France is gone. I don't even know where they went, but Great Britain, Spain, and Italy, but primarily Austria-Hungary are picking at the pieces. And I'm a little concerned that Austria-Hungary, PUing them and integrating them at some point, but they also conquered a bunch of land from the Dutch, basically exiling them to Scandinavia. So I don't know. I really don't know what happened. But Lubeck seems to be feeling pretty good. The Mams have actually crossed the straits over here and have conquered land in Greece and Bulgaria, which is super funny. Heck, they even pushed Rajputana out of Rajputana, and now they exist primarily in Tibet and Southeast Asia, of all places, while Vijay is the dominant guy down here, probably going to form Hindustan, probably. Liang is the big dog in China, with Persia, the big dog in the rest of Asia. Well, that is, if you don't count the Urals as the edge of Asia, because yeah, we've got Pink Russia, also known as Poland here, which is that's something. Mams have some land down in South Africa, which would tell you that they went colonial, but sadly, it looks like down under in New Zealand are Spanish colonies, which is, it makes me sad, but it is what it is. Though I am happy to see Kilwan Malaya over here. Kilwa. These guys decided to conquer up their trade node, because that's kind of what they do. They want to steer trade to their land, so that's what they're going for, which is good on them. South America is split between the Portuguese and the Spanish, so the Dutch are still here for now. North America is much more messy. We've got a bunch of everything going all over here. We've got Nova Hollandia, who had land over here, then they lost. We have Austro-Hungarian Canada, which is, I never thought I'd see that, but we are seeing that. They're getting dominated by the British right now. Newfoundland, the 13 colonies, some Dutch, some Spanish, but then the entire left coast goes to the Portuguese with British Mexico over here. So it's messy, but we'll see how things fill in over the next 100 years. And in those 100 years, we're going to see some stuff change, I'm sure. With Italy, the #1 great power, though Poland would actually surpass them once they embrace institution for the #1 great power by a decent margin. Great Britain in #2, with Spain in #3, Portugal with under 1800 for #4. Then we fall down to the Mamluks, who would actually be #3 after Poland and Italy embrace institution at the 6th spot. And then same thing with Austria-Hungary. They are actually in the top 3 or 4, but down at #7. Now followed by Persia in the 8th spot. I was hoping to see Rajputana do well. Sadly, we're not going to see Rajputana do well, but this is pretty cool too. And in the end, Portugal is looking pretty nice, to be honest with you. Spain, not so much. Italy is occupying the rest of their lands that is left. So yeah, Portugal wins the Iberian game, if you can believe that. But don't worry, France has made a comeback from the former Austro-Hungarian Empire. They don't exist anymore. I don't think they own any provinces at all, nor does many countries at all, except for, you know, the big 3 over here, because Poland's name isn't even over here anymore. It's over here, and they are the Commonwealth, with Persia migrating partially out of Persia because of the Mamluks and into northern China, Manchuria, and whatever this region is called, the Tatar Steppes. I guess that's more over here, but you know what I mean, Central Asia. Same with Rajputana. They've migrated over into like Burma and Vietnam, southern China. So yeah, that's pretty good. VJ did some colonization over here in the East Indies. That's pretty cool. And then Spanish Australia over here competing with Tierra Austral. Not really sure what that's about. Oh, they're occupied by VJ. I was wondering, I'm like, wait a minute, how does this happen? Looks like these colonies are actually owned by Spain directly. So I actually have no idea how this is working out, because they literally share a border with their colonial subject. Very strange. Mams ended up dominating most of East Africa, with West Africa going mostly to the British, as well as the Italians and the Portuguese, of course. Congo is getting dominated by the Portuguese, who have chosen violence this time around, which is very uncommon, and I'm a fan of it. Same with South America. It's all blue. Portugal decided to take all of Spain's colonies, as well as everything over here, minus one single province in Zacatula going to VJ. It's not Spain, it's VJ. The East Coast is primarily, no, not only, primarily British, with Nova Hollandia owning one province up here and 2 provinces being owned by the Portuguese. Also very funny to see the Caribbean colony with their land here in the heartlands of the USA. That's pretty good. And religiously, Orthodox is extinct, except for the provinces. There is no Orthodox country in the world that I can think of. And there's hardly any Protestants, only like 3 or 4 over here. Though it is very funny seeing an Anglican France. Big fan of that. They're also a member of the HRE because reasons. Though the HRE clearly is not feeling good. There's, you know, nothing's going to happen with that. They're von Nassau over here, losing 1.66 imperial authority a month. Though it is pretty funny seeing imperial provinces over here in like the Caucasus and Turkey. And the Knights Hospitaller in Rhodes are an electoral bishopric in the HRE. South America is all Catholic. North America split along those country lines, as you would expect. But Buddhism definitely not feeling good, with Hindus pushing mostly over into Southeast Asia. But we've got lots of Muslims over here, with Persia, who is Shia, not Sunni, pushing into all of this land over here. The Sunnis are over here in Arabia and the Horn of Africa, but that's actually about it, which is pretty crazy to see. French culture has been consolidated between Occitan and Frankian. Austrian culture has pushed quite a bit over here into Hungary. Polish has definitely pushed up over here into Pomerania. And how about that Polish culture over here? Pretty good. South America, Brazilian, Platinian, some Portuguese, and a little bit of Castilian, a nice mix there, with some Dutch over here in Colombia, as well as over in the East Coast, as well as some up there in Canada. North America is a different story. It's all Portuguese, basically all Portuguese, with American culture making up the bulk of the British colonies, mixed with some English culture. So safe to say, not having allies definitely creates some interesting dynamics. People are going to fight for themselves, and I feel like the AI actually did a remarkably good job despite not having diplomacy. Or at least, you know, not alliance diplomacy. We finished the game with Portugal out in the #1 spot, but not really by that much, followed by Great Britain and Italy, very much tied neck and neck for 2 and 3. The Commonwealth, who was #1 before, falling down to the #4 slot with 4,000. MAM's right behind them, so the top 5 are all within 1,000 development of each other. Another 800 drop down to Persia, and then another sizable drop of about 300 down to VJ, and then a huge drop of 1,700 down to Rajputana, who did make it in the great powers list I mentioned before that I hope they did. They certainly did. We have an economic hegemon being stacked up by the Italians with the British, the naval hegemon. How fitting. If you enjoyed this one, make sure you let me know. Leave a like on the video. Like I said in the beginning, check out the mod linked in the description. If you enjoyed the video, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, you're going to miss out on a ton of fun content like this if you're not already subscribed. And if you made it all the way to the end and you're watching this right now, I just want to let you know I appreciate you very much. I think you're awesome, and I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day.